Frances Hannon, you designed the hair and makeup for Wicked, and you earned an Oscar nomination for your work. What does this nomination in particular mean to you?
Oh, I feel so lucky to be nominated by your peers, particularly to this stage. So it's a wonderful recognition of some very hard and unusual work, I feel.
And of course, The Wizard of Oz is one of the most famous films of all time. Some of the most famous imagery in film history. Did you take any inspiration from that film to make this one, or did you want to come to this one entirely fresh?
It is entirely fresh in its own way, but there were some nods to the both the stage play, but only small in the stage play. One of our nods towards it was for the braid that Elphaba has. We used that in the opening of the film, and it worked perfectly in that occasion. And then from the film, we took a few nods. Again, for Elphaba, we took the nails from Margaret, the original very long silhouettes that they did then. But we didn't use, as you can tell, we didn't use the original green imagery from that witch because it wasn't where John wanted us to be or any of us wanted us to be with the story that he wanted to tell about Wicked. And of course, you may have noticed in the Emerald City, there are lots of the Baum illustrations. We took them as our basis and then we evolved them into being something a bit more Hollywood and theatrical so that it would play within our storyline of that huge dance sequence.
And tell me about coming up with that look for Alphaba and that shade of green, that particular imagery for her.
Well, we knew, of course, Cynthia's extraordinarily beautiful, and that was something we very much wanted to keep. But it was the main thing, of course, is making the green skin look real and not look face painted. And I know all of us have seen films in our past where the artists have to be different colors, and they always look on the surface. So I worked really hard with trying to um, cracked the green skin really, and we came up with a product that made on Cynthia's skin made her look it was very reflective, and it was because I found a yellow neon base that went into the green. So first I got lots of models. I didn't have Cynthia in the country. Lots of models with the correct skin tone and found the right green for the skin tone. So we had that perfected, but in every light we couldn't get it to work. Sometimes the model would look grey and sometimes she'd look purple, and she certainly didn't always look green. So once I came across discovered the neon base, that gave the skin quality in every light, but also from within. So we worked very much on the surface with contouring and freckles and tattoo transfers for her eyebrows because Cynthia shaves hers, and really to embed the green. And I think in every single frame, it worked within the film. And of course, then we had the small challenges of it not transferring onto Galinda, lasting a 12-hour day, not running with sweat or tears, as you those beautiful moments that Cynthia had within the film, and and not keeping her in the chair for too long because, of course, John Chu has to have his full filming day. So we got her makeup down to the minimum we could, and we did again. So I didn't mention we did in post, like in the very early days, do a version not on Cynthia. Took Cynthia's photo and had it done in post to compare the post visual with the real visual, and thank God everybody decided to go for the real, and it worked beautifully.
And how long did it take with Cynthia in the chair once it was the design was finalized?
Well, her average skin cover, as you know from the film, was her hands, her face, and neck, and I had the wigs made on a green lace base, so that helped us there already with that part. We didn't have to go over the whole head, but the we started at somewhere around 2:15, sometimes a bit longer, sometimes a bit less, but the girls got it down to like 1:45 when it needed to be really speedy. And of course, within that, there are the nails, and they often had to change if we changed scenes during the day. So we had the real ones, we had press on ones, we had all the different designs. And then, of course, we had the story arc for Elphaba, where she stays fairly simple because that's her character. She's has no vanity, but nevertheless, show the story where as she becomes more and more confident within herself, her hair in itself is telling its own story, or the whole of the makeup look is where her hair becomes looser until after Galinda teaches her toss toss, and you see that area, the braids are all gone, and now it's much freer. And so we're trying to tell the story visually as well as everything the artist and John Chu bring to the plate.
And so much of the story is this contrast between Elphaba and Galinda. Not only the green and the pink, but just their personalities. And how did you capture that through makeup?
We did very much, I mean, in the early discussions with John Chu and then with Nathan and with Paul Taswell for where the color palettes were all going to be, we tried to keep to balance Cynthia, keep Ari a very I call it old Hollywood really was where we went with her. We used but for both of them we used warmer, shorter wigs for their early part of their storyline, and both of them longer. Ari's been longer and paler, and Cynthia's been longer and darker as their as they grew in the story. But with Ari, we kept her makeup really simple, very accessible. We wanted her to be. We wanted to be everybody to be able to relate to the characters. Very much something that John had asked for, and quite iridescent or opalescent, so that she had her own reflective quality. So when they were side by side in the same light, one didn't look flat and the other one like shimmering. And the balance with the lighting worked extremely well with Alice Brooks's lighting and how she helped us.
And what was it like collaborating with Cynthia and Ariana in having them in the chair, and how much did they contribute their ideas to because obviously they have to wear the makeup while they're filming.
Yeah, they contributed 1000% every day without fail. They were absolutely wonderful. There's the very early days when we always knew that those were our first two artists, but the very early days when you just bring ideas to the plate and share them with John, and then if John likes them, he shares them with Cynthia and Ari, and right from the get go, the microbraiding was something that I found and I absolutely loved it. And Cynthia loved it too. So that happened very early on. And of course, then, but every day and with Ari, Ari came, just said, I'll have your own artists. I want everything that you know from your experience to be Galinda's look. And we once the looks were decided, every single day the artists would say, I see her as this today for this scene. I just lay out the basic plan and supply all the goods, and Cynthia might take the lipstick she felt like wearing that day, add to the depth of the eyes. Ari likewise might change her lipstick or add a clip in her hair. It was always everything the artist brings to the table is paramount to how the story is told visually.
And what was it like working with John M. Chu? What was that collaboration like? What were those discussions like in terms of what he was looking for and what you were bringing?
Yeah, he's a wonderful director to work for, and I did have the pleasure of working with him on Now You See Me too. We did many, many years ago, and he's very. Oh, John is so open, so collaborative, so open. Describes everything so well. He likes to see the visual side. He likes you to bring him stuff so he can see the thoughts, even if it's only the basic thought, like how do you show old Hollywood without narrowing down his vision of Galinda, all those small things, but we'd always go with boards to John, either emailed or presented, and discuss maybe it's the hair this side and the length this way and the color that way. And John understood everything. A wonderful, wonderful director to work with. And of course, then you have Paula and Nathan as well. So the combination was exceptional.
What would you say were the biggest challenges for you during this production?
What I really wanted to do, there was so we had 88 speaking parts, and we had 3,500 supporting artists roughly, and 98% of those people wore wigs or fake hair or facial of some kind within the story. So it was certainly my most the biggest film I've ever worked on and the biggest challenge. And I think one of the big challenges was to find all the different worlds within Oz, but make them all be believable and real and all connect to each other. John didn't want this to be a fantasy with, rainbow hairdos and from the whole picture. And of course, you find your references in everything in nature. You find it in buildings. You find it in the sets. And just to bring it all and make all these different worlds, but actually make the story all link and be believable and make it timeless was really important. Not only very extravagant to match the sets, but timeless to, excuse me, timeless. So in 50 years, when people are still watching it, they'll still be involved and love it, and it won't be pushed away by being dated from any artistic point of view.
And the film was split into two parts. Wicked for Good is coming out later this year. Were the two parts filmed together, and what was it like working
Yeah.
on that whole big project, all at once?
Yes, all filmed together. Some days you'd be doing part one, other within the same day you'll move to part two because it might be on the same set or the same look. But it's something from my experience in life. I started in TV, and you might do 10 episodes of a TV series together. I did The Singing Detective, and it had 5 different storylines, and all the episodes that were 6 of them all mixed into each other. So it's just making sure you know your job, know your work, and have your storyline straight so that you make the story arc, the visual story arc, have its progression that's completely believable, but also leave it open to the artist to bring everything they want within that.
And you're nominated for the Oscar, but is there a nomination besides your own that you're especially excited about? Either for
Yeah.
this film or another film that you're excited for?
I have to say, I'm excited for all 10 for Wicked. I think it's phenomenal and much deserved. And without John Chu, we wouldn't even be having 10 nominations. But I'm really excited to see how it all goes. I mean, I am very excited for every nominee. There's some excellent work out there, so never, never expect too much in life because, there's such creative people there. All the work is beautiful.
And you were nominated before and won for the Grand Budapest Hotel. What was that experience like? And having that already under your belt, how does this nomination compare?
It, the experience of your name being called out, I don't think there are words quite to describe it. And particularly if, in fact, I was working with John Chu in London at the time, so I only flew over for 2, 3 days because we had to film. Um, so I really didn't expect it. And there were some fantastic films with a huge amount of work, which made it even more of a surprise, I guess. I can't tell you words other than shock. But with regards to sorry, there was another part to that question that you asked about the Grand Budapest and the.
Yeah, how does it compare? Like, since you already have that one, you won that Oscar. So, like, does it
Yeah.
feel like the pressure is off a little bit this time?
Yes, in all honesty, yes, I do feel that. I've been honoured already, and I'm very grateful. And if we and Wicked win anything or all of these, I'd be the proudest person in the world. And if we don't, I'm so proud to have worked on Wicked anyway. So I'm lucky either way.
Well, regardless of, what happens on March 2nd, Wicked for Good is coming up. So, you could be right here this time next year. So, congratulations on your work on the film. Congratulations on the recognition that you've already received. And thank you so much for talking with me about it.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And Wicked 2 stands alone as its whole self with another visual storyline. So um, I really look forward to I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I've seen it every day, but I haven't seen it put together, so I can't wait. Thank you so much.